Democrats are experiencing a complete collapse in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American, back again with a new video today. We have to talk about the 2024 presidential election because it appears that Democrats are experiencing a collapse in the key swing state of Pennsylvania. Yeah, that's right. What could very well be the most important swing state for the upcoming election. It looks like Democrats are in big trouble here. Now, does that mean they're going to lose the state by 15 points? No, it's not a foregone conclusion they're going to lose the state, but it's getting worse for Democrats. Just look at this. The absentee request graph, which it seems like we go over this like every other day at this point, it's gotten even worse for Democrats. Listen, I've always said that there's a possibility that, these absentee requests, they can be misleading. Maybe Democrats have a surge later on. I guess that's possible, but look at this. Right now, it's 26.5% Republican and only 62% Democrat. These are absentee requests. Back in 2020, it was 63% Democrat and 55% Republican. Hell, this cycle, just 2 weeks ago, it was 64% Democrat, 25.5% Republican. Every single day, it has gotten more Republican. Yeah, not just, it's gotten slightly Republican, but that's that. No. It is every single day, it is clearly trending Republican. It's not just, one really good day and that's that. No, every single day, it's gotten more and more and more Republican. Democrats lose like 0.25% each day, while Republicans gain like roughly 0.1%. Every single day, it's consistent. Now, some people are going to claim, well, this is just because Democrats are going to vote on Election Day, which, okay, that's not wrong, but the problem with that theory is you're making it sound like every single Democrat's going to vote on Election Day. No, the vast majority of Democrats, even to this day, are going to vote early. They're going to vote by mail. They're not going to vote on Election Day. So you cannot just say, well, it's 2024, you don't have to worry about COVID. That's part of it. I understand that. But that doesn't explain how every single day Republicans keep gaining more and more votes. For crying out loud, Democrats, as of now, have not yet crossed their final absentee request from 2022. Yeah, they haven't even cracked 900,000 requests. Back in 22, they had roughly 974,000 requests. Republicans already got 382,000 requests. Republicans in 22, they only got 300,000. So this is a clear overperformance by Republicans. They're getting great margins, and it continues every single day. And if this keeps up, there's a possibility that by Election Day, less than 60% of these absentee ballots are from Democrats. If that really happens, I just don't see a pathway for Democrats, because at that point, you're talking about like 27, 28, maybe even 30% of these ballots, they're from Republicans. If that's the case, it's not just lower turnout. It's the fact that Republicans have gained like 5 to 10% compared to 2020. That's the problem here. And Democrats, they have collapsed completely. That's why it's a big deal that Republicans right now, they're gaining consistently. It's not just one day they gain a lot of votes and that's that. Every single day, they're gaining. Now you might be saying, well, that's only one data point. It could be a fluke. Okay, voter registration. Look at this. In the last week, Republicans have gained 12,000 new voters. Democrats only gained 7,600 votes. Now, when it comes to voter registration, especially in Pennsylvania, you have to be careful because there are a lot of ancestral Democrats in the Commonwealth. But the problem is for Democrats, a lot of these new voters, they're not Democrats. They're new voters. They have never voted before. They may have never been registered. They're not ancestral Democrats. Some of it is fine, but not every single one of these voters. They're not ancestral Democrats. People that have been voting Democrat for 40 years straight and now they're Republican. That's not what's happening here. Part of it, okay, in Western PA, I can understand that, but Chester County, Pennsylvania, Delaware County, do you think these have ancestral Democrats? No, they don't. Yet Republicans are doing very good in those counties. This is bad because it's not just the early voting that's bad for Dems. It's voter registration. Republicans are gaining so many new voters every single week that the more people they register to vote and actually get out to vote, the more likely it is for Trump to win the state. Because, like I've said many times before, higher turnout helps Republicans, especially Donald Trump. So that means if it's a very high turnout election, more than likely, that means a lot of new voters that lean to the right, they voted. That's the biggest problem for Democrats. We're seeing this in early voting. A lot of these new voters that are, in fact, voting for the first time ever, they're not Democrats. They are Republican-leaning voters, and more than likely, they're going to break for Trump. The more you look at this, it's not just voter registration, it's not just early voting, it's just everything. It's all negative for Democrats. Now, some people might claim, well, the polling actually looks pretty good for Harris. No, it doesn't. Just yesterday, Donald Trump retook the lead in the RCP polling average for the first time in a couple of weeks. It was like September 16th. That was the last time he had a lead in Pennsylvania, according to RCP. Well, now he's back in the lead. It's a very small lead, but it's misleading because you have garbage polls like Bloomberg, which again, it's always Bloomberg. I mean, seriously, Harris plus 5. Like, if this was Harris plus 2, okay, fine. That's within reason. But Harris plus 5 when literally everyone else, and that includes Muhlenberg, Marist, the Washington Post, very shitty pollsters, they have the race tied. In fact, pollsters like Insider Advantage, Emerson, Atlas Intel, now Trafalgar, they all found Trump with a lead in Pennsylvania. Yet Bloomberg, by some miracle, was the only pollster to find Harris up by 5. Which I've gone over this a bunch of times. It seems like every time there's a bad stretch of polling for Harris, out of the blue, Bloomberg, which is Morning Consult, they spit out a Harris plus 5 in Pennsylvania. They spit out a Harris plus 12 in Michigan every time. So in reality, this should be closer to like Trump plus 1. If it wasn't for this one garbage pollster, it would be like Trump plus 1. That should tell you everything about this average, by the way. He would have been the lead a couple weeks ago if it wasn't for Harris plus 5 from Bloomberg, Harris plus 5 from the New York Times. If it wasn't for those two polls, Trump would have been leading for a while now. But now we're getting to a point now where pollsters like Atlas Intel, Trafalgar, Insider Advantage, they are all finding Trump with a 2 to 3 point lead. Now, for those that are saying it's Trafalgar, don't trust them. People just seemingly forget that they're a very good pollster. Back in 2020, right, their final poll was roughly Trump plus 2, which, okay, they're off by a little bit. But funny enough, a poll in the same time period, early October, late September, they had it Biden plus 2. This is the thing about Trafalgar. For whatever reason, their late September, early October polls tend to be more accurate than their late October polls. I have no clue why that's the case, but look right here. In late September, early October, they had it roughly Biden plus 2, which is what he won it by. He won it by a point. But their final in Pennsylvania was roughly Trump plus 2. So they're off by a couple of points, but for whatever reason, the polling in late September, early October, it tends to be more accurate. Does that mean they're going to be spot on this time? Maybe not. I understand they could miss by a couple of points. I get that. But you look at who's showing Trump with a lead. It's not just them. It's Atlas Intel, Emerson, Insider Advantage. And everyone else has a race tied except for UMass, which, okay, Harris plus 2, whatever. That's fine. And, of course, Bloomberg. Outside of that, everyone else has the race tied or a small Trump lead. And the majority of those polls that have the race tied, these same polls overstate Democrats by a lot every single year. So I would argue that right now Trump's in a very good position in Pennsylvania, not just based off of voter registration, not even because of early voting, but also because of the polling. These same polls overstate Democrats every single year, for crying out loud. At the same time period in 2020, it was Biden plus 6, plus 7, plus 7, plus 6. All right, in early October, it was Biden plus 6. Now, these same polls have Trump with a very small lead in Pennsylvania. Hell, and there's other pollsters like Patriot Polling, which I know it's kind of a meme, but there's been other pollsters not included in the average. They have Trump with a lead in Pennsylvania. So what's more likely? That the polls actually overstate Trump's support for the first time ever? Or they're either correct and Trump's actually winning Pennsylvania, or maybe, just maybe, some of these polls that have Harris up by 5 in Pennsylvania, they just suck, and they're overstating her support by quite a bit. I mean, seriously, what's more likely? That Bloomberg is by some miracle the only pollster to be correct in Pennsylvania, or they just suck and they have no clue what they're doing? I would say, yeah, they probably suck and they have no clue what the hell they're doing. Now, with Pennsylvania, everyone's been talking about the presidential race and how Trump's in a good position. Some people claim he's in a bad position, but I would argue, most people that look at this, they would argue Trump's actually in a good position overall. That doesn't mean he's going to win Pennsylvania by 15 points, but it looks like Republicans are in a good situation in Pennsylvania. Notice how I said Republicans, because we've been talking about Trump quite a bit this video, and I would argue if you look at this, yeah, Trump's in a good situation, he's probably up, but I said Republicans because there's a Senate race in Pennsylvania, and I would say before, like, late August, early September, I wasn't talking about the race that much because I thought Bob Casey, it would have been a closer race for him, you know, especially compared to 2018, 2012, 2006. I thought, okay, it was going to be a little bit closer, but never in a million years did I think, you know what, David McCormick could actually beat Bob Casey. And I would say before September, I had that belief. But now, I believe that McCormick has a chance. I'm not going to say he's going to win for sure, but it's getting to a point now where it's a very competitive race. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but McCormick's been running one of the best Senate campaigns of any Republican this cycle, by far. Now, when you look at the RCP average right now in Pennsylvania, you would say, oh, this looks pretty bad for McCormick. It's Casey plus 4. Well, for starters, it's a bit misleading because you have some big outliers from Fox News and Susquehanna where they found Casey up by 8 to 9 points. That's not going to happen, right? It's not going to happen. Casey isn't up by 8 to 9 points in Pennsylvania. Maybe 2 months ago he was, you know, in late August, maybe. But right now, no. He's not up by 8 to 9 points. He's not going to win by that much. Now, I could see him winning by 4 to 5 points, but I would argue right now, Casey has a big problem because, well, he's only at 48%. He's been a long-time incumbent. He's been there for like 20 years now. You know, it's like he's been there forever. And every single time he's won by a lot because of his last name. You know, he's the son of a former pro-life Democrat governor of Pennsylvania that everyone still thinks, oh, he's his father. He's not. But point is, Bob Casey has won by a lot every single time. But now, he's not even cracking 50%. And for an incumbent, that's not good. Because you look at who's actually undecided, you realize quickly, oh, wait a minute. These are Trump voters. These are not Democrats that are undecided. No, they're all voting for Casey. The vast majority of these undecided voters, they're Trump voters. That's the problem for Casey here. These undecideds, they're going to break for McCormick. So Casey has to get above 50% because if he doesn't, he could be in serious trouble. Because these voters, they're going to break for McCormick, like they are in Ohio for Bernie Moreno, like they are for Sheehy in Montana. They're going to break for the Republican candidate in these Senate races because they're Republican-leaning voters. They may not like McCormick, but I highly doubt they're going to break for Casey this time around. Maybe they do, I guess, but I find that very unlikely. And you look at the Democrat campaign in Pennsylvania, they're starting to panic. They're starting to panic about the Senate race because they're starting to realize, oh, wait a minute, McCormick actually has a chance. He's only down by 1 point according to Trafalgar. It's a tied race according to Rasmussen. Atlas Intel has it Casey plus 2. These are not good polls for Casey whatsoever. And outside of Fox News and Marist, he isn't above 50% in any poll. And these undecided voters, they're going to break for McCormick. Is it enough for him to win? I don't know. But it seems like every day he's gaining momentum. Every single day he's gaining more and more support. We just got to see what happens, but if David McCormick can win the Senate seat, which again, I'm not a big fan of him. I admit that. I was never a big fan of the guy. If he wins the Senate race by some miracle, let him stay there. I don't care if he's Pat Toomey 2.0. I think he'll be better than Toomey if he wins, but I don't care. He beat Bob Casey. And McCormick sounds like someone that's, not the best on the issues, but much better than Lisa Murkowski, John Curtis, or even Pat Toomey. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.